All right, so we're recording. Um, Thanks everyone for joining us today, and I just wanted to thank you guys for your time and everything like that. Uh, Typically, what the purpose of like the open house, the virtual open houses, is to kind of field some questions about hiring and your guys' process and things like that, but also for you guys to kind of lay out some of the descriptions of like your jobs that you have to offer, your guys' hiring process, and also the background of Buffalo Lodging and like the history of it, and that sort of thing. Basically an open house, but just virtual. So. Whoever would like to start, Jenny, I don't know if you would want to talk a little bit about Buffalo Lodging to go.
Yeah, of course. So Buffalo Lodging, we are a hospitality management company. We have around 50 different properties right now in 6 different states. So New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Ohio, Florida, and then we've got a hotel in Niagara Falls, Canada. All different brands of hotels. So we've got hotels from the Hilton family, like the Hampton Inn and Suites and the Homewood Suites. We've got different Marriott properties, like the Spring Hill Suites, Courtyards by Lincoln. But really great company, around 1,400 employees and growing. It's a great company to get your foot in the door. If you ever want to start a career in hospitality, we've had a ton of success stories where people come in, start as a room attendant, front desk agent, and then grow, and they're in management positions within a few years. So I've been with the company now for about 3 years, and I absolutely love it.
Has it been that long?
It has been. Time flies. Ryan and Jeremy, do you want to talk about your tenure, how long you've been with the company for?
I've been with the company for 5 years. Same hotel. I've always been with this hotel for 5 years. One of those success stories, or actually a few of them, have sort of come through this hotel, which is good. Yeah, right now it's been interesting. COVID has changed the world, that's for sure. Just sort of looking for some new ideas at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I think I might have worked with either this program or a similar program in the past. So I'm sort of interested to see if, what has changed or hasn't changed, what stays the same. That's really it for me.
And Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm coming up on 8 years here next week. I started out at Ryan's Hotel at the Hampton Inn, then transferred over to the Homewood about 6 years ago. It's been Buffalo Lodging's been a great company to work for. I tell a lot of people that there are different hotel companies you can work for. There are companies that are all about the bottom line, and then there are companies that are about taking care of their guests, taking care of their employees, that type of thing, and you can't really put value on that. I started out my career with a company a little similar to that, then I went for a brief period of time to somebody that was a little different. So I quickly came back to a company, and Buffalo Lodging has been great as far as that goes. I'll get in trouble faster for not taking care of employees than I will for overspending on a line account on my P&L or something. So it's a great company to work for.
And Jeremy is a way better recruiter than me. Did you hear that?
About that.
So that was going to be my next question, Jeremy. So nice little segue here. What is it like to work at Buffalo Lodging, and why do you guys like working at Buffalo Lodging, and what are some of the benefits of it?
Yeah, they give us, from my standpoint as running the hotel, we have the flexibility to sort of do, make our own decisions. We don't have people micromanaging and things from day to day. So they really let us do what we do best, and that's, run the hotels. They give us the tools that we need to do our job, which is super critical, from, the items that the housekeepers might need, from linen to vacuums to supplies, especially during COVID. I know Ryan's mentioned it's been difficult, and it truly has been difficult, but a lot of companies have just halted spending altogether and says, okay, we're going down to the bare minimum. And that's not been what we've been about. We've really been about coming through this, and we believe that the company that provides the best service and takes care of their people the best and takes care of their guests the best are going to be the companies that sort of come out on this thing on the other end ahead of the game. So that's sort of been the nice thing about COVID. Jennifer can talk about they really did a great job about taking care of the employees during all this. We didn't slash our staffs, we didn't get rid of people, and kept that to a bare minimum, and it's been great.
Yeah, I was going to throughout COVID, we were able to pay all of our full-time and part-time employees their average weekly earnings. So even though they weren't working at the hotels from March till the very end of June, everybody still got a paycheck. Like, the best part about Buffalo Lodging, in my opinion, is that we really are like a big family, and it starts from the top. We have a president, our founder, Ron, who started the company 25 years ago, just cares so deeply about the employees. And that's why I think all of us work in hospitality, because we care about people. That's the field to be in, one of the best fields. And we really do a great job of taking care of one another, and always stepping up to help out, which sometimes it's rare to find that in the workplace. So
the anecdote that I always use when people ask me about BLA is it wasn't long after I first started here. We had a breakfast attendant who had been with us for like 12 years or something. And she had a pretty bad accident where she had spilled coffee, like really hot coffee, all over herself, and had to go to the hospital. And then luckily enough, she wasn't badly injured. And she ended up coming back to work like 2 days later. And when she came back, she told me that while she was out, the president of the company had called her on her personal cell phone just to make sure she was okay, right? And so it sort of reinforces the point of it is a people company at heart, I think. As with any company, I think we have, times when we do better and times when we do worse, but at the heart of it, I think that's the kind of thing that BLA loves to lean on, is how well we engage our people.
It's great to hear. Yeah, that's awesome. I know you guys mentioned the COVID portion, and is there any sort of protocols that you guys are taking currently? Obviously, that's something that's on everybody's mind, either if they're a guest or if they're starting a job there, if they're currently working there. Has there been any sort of extra precautions that you guys have made?
I'll let Ryan and Jeremy jump into the specifics at the property level, because not only do we get direction from the brands like Hilton and Marriott that give strict protocols of what you need to be doing, but as a company, we take it so seriously ourselves, the safety of our guests and employees, that we've implemented our own policies on top of what the brand recommended. But I'll say another kind of cool thing that we did that I don't know if many other companies did, is we put a policy in place, and it's still going on, and it's been here since March, that if our employees needed to remain out of work because they had symptoms, because they had been exposed to somebody that may have had symptoms, if they tested positive, we paid them 2 full weeks of COVID pay to make sure that nobody felt like they needed to get to work if they weren't completely better. Because there are, times that people were worried, and we didn't want anybody coming into the workplace if they weren't well. So that's something that is great that we offer. But in terms of at the property level, if you guys want to go into detail kind of about the sanitization and the cleaning of the rooms with the room attendants and all the safety like PPE, the PPE that we provided to employees. I can let you guys do that piece. Ryan's mute.
You or me, Jeremy?
It doesn't matter. It'll be the same since it's through Hilton and Buffalo Lodging. So.
I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay, yeah. So from a property standpoint, obviously the first thing we're doing is anybody coming into the hotels getting temperature checks daily. Anybody has temperatures, then they're being asked, we're having them leave immediately, asking them to go get, tested, and depending on what their other symptoms are, that type of thing. I know there has been, most places you can get free testing and things now, but there have been, especially early on, some few cases to where testing wasn't free and we would do reimbursement on testing if need be. Obviously, while somebody was they would not be eligible to work, but as Jenny mentioned, there would be pay structure put in place for people that are off work due to waiting for that, or either waiting for it to their 10 to 14 days to expire. We've really done obviously a big push of the social distancing, from the back of the house to break rooms to that type of thing. We're trying to keep everybody separated. So we have try to do like alternate start times and things for housekeepers, so not everybody is in one area at one time. Obviously mask or something that both Buffalo Lodging and the brand has really pushed. And then gloves, aprons, protective goggles, eyewear, that type of stuff. As far as for anybody that's touching like linen and housekeeping, that might be doing laundry, those type of things. We have the protective shields and things for front desk agents, and we just recently opened our breakfast buffet again, so we have shields for those team members as well, where we're actually serving the hot items as opposed to guests picking up the items, and then the cold items are all like single serve individual package type items for guests. So we also have housemen. For the most part, are trying to strip the rooms now. So any room that's a checkout, at the beginning of COVID, it was easy enough to leave rooms out of order for a couple of days. So you didn't have somebody, we weren't turning necessarily the same day. Recent weeks, it's been getting busy enough that we've had to start turning rooms and things again. So we have housemen going up and trying to strip the rooms as much as possible. So you only have one person handling the dirty linen, and then you don't have somebody handling dirty and then also clean linen on the flip side of that as they're making the beds back up. So that's just a few of the things that we're doing here. Ryan, I don't know if I missed something, but if you think of something else.
The pool, right? The pool situation.
Yeah.
The pool situation. The pool is always a situation. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't touched on, we're doing our best to ensure proper social distancing throughout the hotel. As far as the guests are concerned, sometimes it takes some coaxing for them to properly adhere to the guidelines that we need. So we've turned the fitness center and the pool into utilization by reservation only. So we only allow a certain number of people in there at a time in order to do our best to properly maintain those distances. We've assigned somebody to sort of oversee the pool and make sure that that those distances are being maintained. And then like I said, in the fitness center, we're only allowing 2 people at any given time. To be quite frank, it's pretty rare that we end up having to overlap people, but that happens from time to time. Other than that, I think as far as most of it is concerned, I think Jeremy hit on most of the other items. So I don't think I necessarily have a whole lot to add as far as that's concerned.
We did.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say we also offered pay if you had to miss any part of your shift because you were going to go get your vaccination, because we were really encouraging people to go and get vaccinated, we paid them for that time, which has been helpful.
That was actually going to be my next question. So, because I know a lot of employers right now, they're obviously encouraging it, but they can't force anybody to get it. Recently, I was at an establishment yesterday, and they said, for the individuals that aren't vaccinated, we still have to test them at least twice a week. If you are vaccinated, you still got to get tested, but eventually they're going to phase that out. I don't know if that's something that you guys are doing with employees, obviously, or it's just more like, hey, you got an incentive base for getting that vaccine, which is, like you said, some extra pay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next question really is, some of the requirements for, like what you guys are looking for. So, is there an age requirement? Are you guys ex-offender friendly, that sort of thing? I mean, obviously those are some big things that are usually, asked about from in our world. So I was just kind of curious, what those parameters might be.
So we do complete background checks on candidates before we move forward in the hiring process. So we review those results that come back to make a determination about whether or not we can move forward with hiring candidates. In terms of the age requirements, just as long as you're the legal working age in that specific state, we do have some employees that are under the age of 18 at some of our properties. So we just keep track of their hours, because there are certain requirements if you're under a certain age, of how many hours or days in a week that you can be working. So we do monitor that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other question that I was wanting to ask too, and obviously social distancing and all that is taking place, are you guys, all right with maybe some additional support coming in, helping that individual, say, who might need maybe a job coach, maybe specifically for like an interview, or maybe it might be an interview and maybe some on-the-job supports just to start off. Are you guys limiting the amount of, I don't want to say unnecessary guests, but they're not necessarily a guest, for long-term stay. They're just there for a few hours. Are you guys limiting that, or are you guys okay with that?
I think we would certainly be comfortable with that, of course, as long as the person had on the proper, face mask protection and was comfortable wearing that. If they were exhibiting any signs or symptoms of COVID, then we would, of course, ask that they can show a negative test before they're there. We wouldn't want them to be exposing any employees to COVID, but no, we would be open, of course, to having individuals around if they are assisting team members. Yeah.
That was actually going to be one of my questions to you.
Yeah.
Was in my experience, with one of the times it was either this program or another one very similar. I would say at least like twice a week, the employee had, I guess you would refer to it as a job coach or a mentor or something like that, who would actually come in and like work the shift with them, just to make sure that they're learning all of the things that they need to learn, and would sort of help us communicate with the employee as necessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense. Yeah, that's kind of how it usually goes. Typically, the job coaches that work with that individual, they're only there for a temporary short amount of time. So 90 days usually, so everybody's typical 90-day probationary period. So they will check in here and there. But I try to be that support for you guys as well. So I'll try to check in every once in a while and, hey, how's John Smith doing? Anything that, maybe good or bad going on. And then I'll try to get you any sort of additional support that you might need. But I also always encourage everybody to just reach out to if there is like a pressing matter. And I'll definitely try to address it as fast as I can. But I do try to at least check in about once a month. Don't want to be a hindrance to you guys, but also just kind of want to let you know that, hey, I'm here in case you guys need anything. So that's typically how I work it. But the job coaches, they are more usually short-term type of thing. Because the whole goal with this is to make sure that that person is started off on the right foot, but eventually they're going to have some sort of independence once they're fully entrenched in the job, if that makes sense.
They take their cues from you guys and your managers. So how much you think they're needed, they can be requested. So it typically in like most often it'll be like a bulk up front. So they may be there for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 shifts the whole time. Then maybe the next week it's half a shift. Then maybe the week after that, it's a couple days, an hour or two. So we use kind of like a faded model, but we really take the cues from you. If someone's doing a great job, I know Ryan, you were mentioned like one guy was like the best worker you had. You're like, oh, he's killing it. We don't need you, so don't worry about it. But if someone's like, hey, we're cross-training them or we're adding some duties, can you come back in and help? Those are things we can do. So we're really there to support you guys in your efforts to get the employees productive and up to your standards. So whatever we need to do to get that is really what we're here for and support you in that. So we can do as much or as little as needed, and really just try to communicate with you guys to see what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I love to hear success stories. So, if you guys want to tell me success stories too, you always feel free to reach out about that too. But, I just want to let you guys know that, I am here for you guys. And, if there is any sort of thing that maybe you're not quite sure how to navigate through, I more than likely might be able to help you out with that. But if I can't, Jared's very good at, what he does as well. And, there's other individuals that we work with that are very well equipped of trying to navigate through things. So there's abundant support. Just feel free to always reach out though if there needs to be any sort of help in any sort of area.
Guys, I'm really sorry, but today's been one of those days where if something will go wrong, it has gone wrong. So I'm juggling a lot of balls today. So I have to run.
No problem.
If you guys, I'm gonna leave this on, but I'm gonna drop my video.
Okay.
If you guys are still on when I get back, because this could be 5 minutes, it could be 30, I don't know. But if you guys are still on when I get back, I'll just jump in and rejoin. Is that cool?
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Trying to think if Jared, is there anything that I'm missing question wise or?
I just had a couple questions. Housekeeper and front desk, I've both, stayed at hotels, and is there anything unique at your locations, or are those pretty standard positions that we would see at most hotels? Any like unique things that you guys do in particular with those two roles?
No, I think from the most part, that there's not anything any different than most other places would be for those areas. I think the Homewood, my hotel, would probably be slightly different because our rooms are larger. So instead of a standard hotel room, they're a suite style hotel room. So they're sort of like small efficiency apartments. So we have kitchens. So there's refrigerators to clean, there's dishwashers, there's microwaves, and some of our rooms are 2-room suites, or some of them are even 3-room suites. So from a cleaning perspective or a housekeeping perspective, that might be a little bit different.
Oh, that's perfect. That's great information. Yeah. And very interesting for that. And then your guys' house person role, like that is more public spaces, lobby. And then I think Ryan was talking about, they also go up in strip rooms. So if you could just speak a little bit about that position and the details of it.
Yeah, that's one of the positions that during COVID sort of been an ever changing position. It is a lot of the public space areas. And then that also has then sort of transformed into where they help a little bit more with stripping the rooms and things like that, like I was referring to earlier. So they might come in the morning, do some of the basic public space. We also have some people overnight that does that, so it's already ready to go first thing in the morning. So a lot of times in the morning, that position is sent up to rooms that have already departed, start stripping down some of the checkout rooms. And then throughout the day, it's just sort of managing and keeping an eye on, around by noon, most of the checkout rooms are gone. So it's a little bit of multitasking there. Then it's, vacuuming public spaces, vacuuming hallways. They also get pulled for the fitness center and the pools because we sanitize those in between each use. So the front desk will call and have, we have like one of the spray machines for the fitness center and the pool area that we could use to disinfect in between guests and that type of thing.
And then at properties, I know the housemen will help deliver amenities if
Yes.
a guest is requesting towels or toiletries, and
Right.
they'll help stock the laundry cart or just the housekeeping cart for the room attendants.
Perfect. Yeah, that seems like a good job. And Chris, I think we've always had a little bit more success filling that role. I don't know if your history, like, I think it's just been a little bit, I know housekeeper can be like a really fast-paced job when you have to get the rooms done. I think we've had a little bit more success with like the house person, just because it was a little bit more routine and like you do things like that. So excited about that. And then my last was just like the breakfast attendant as well. Is that just a little detail on the job duties, what a day in the life of that looks like? Would be great.
Yeah. Right now, like I said, we're a little different. I'm one of there's a handful of hotels in our company that is testing out the hot buffet again. However, I know our hopes as a company is within the next several weeks to sort of be moving everybody onto the hot buffet and seeing how that's going to work. So currently what we would be doing, we have 2 attendants basically every day. One attendant is sort of at this point just responsible for serving food. So she's behind the glass, or he or she is behind the glass and serving the hot food items to people. The second attendant is basically somebody that can restock items and as juices and things like that start to do to replenish those items as they start to deplete, cereals, that type of thing. And then also with breakfast having the hot items back open, we have now the seating is also back open. So where we didn't really have anybody sitting in the lobby or anything for any period of time, it's almost like a hotel again. You actually see people now. So they in between guests try to wipe down tables, disinfect tables, that type of thing. So it's really just keeping coffee station up and going, keeping food items replenished, and then sort of wiping down and keeping table sanitized in between guests and that type of thing. And then of course at the end there's a little bit of cleanup where they both try to at the end of breakfast they'll both clean up. Usually they'll divide, one will take back of the house, one will take front of the house type thing.
Cool.
Great.
I like that.
Yeah,
You're out early, you get the rest of your day to go.
Yeah, I mean I got to be honest with you, it's a great shift. It's usually our shifts are like a 5 to 5:30 a.m. to like noon, 11 to 12 o'clock. So if somebody's an early riser and don't mind getting up early and getting out, I mean they've got a full day in by around noon, and then they got the rest of the day to do whatever they want. So there's been days I've thought about taking that position, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Get out, yeah, in the summer, you get out for the golf.
Exactly.
Get that noon tea time. I'd be all for it.
Right.
Did you guys have any other further questions about anything? I mean, I know, we've kind of laid everything out as to like how we operate, but any last minute questions or anything like that?
Oh, I do not.
Okay. Jared, is there anything you think we're missing or?
No, I don't think so.